Hello, WiCCD members. My name is Maya Shukairy, and I am WiCCD's Education Committee Director. I'm happy to introduce our series, Finding Your Niche. In this series, we will interview female criminal defense lawyers who practice in a specific area within criminal law. The goal of our series is to highlight the work and accomplishments of female criminal defense lawyers, but it is also a way for us to introduce you to specialty areas within criminal law. We hope we can help you find your niche. Enjoy the series. Hi, Emma. How are you?
I am hanging on. I think I'm okay. I'm not sure.
I hope you are okay. I'm very happy to meet you. We haven't met in person, so this is our first time meeting, but it's very nice to have you here on this series, Finding Your Niche. And I'm glad that you're taking the time to chat with me a little bit today. I know you're very busy, but thank you for your time. And I'm going to start by asking.
Honored to be asked. I'm honored to be asked.
So I'm going to start by asking you, Emma, what is your niche?
So I represent children and youth. So I represent them in a few capacities. I represent them criminally with WiCCD proceedings, and then I also am a panel lawyer for the Office of the Children's Lawyer. So I represent children that are in care or up for adoption or are 16 and 17 and need a visa. And so or are subject to a custody and access proceeding. So I represent youth in a few capacities.
So those are cases, I guess, when CAS gets involved?
Yes, when CAS gets involved, and so what happens is I get notified by the Office of the Children's Lawyer to assist a youth. And so one of the reasons why I am involved in both of those capacities is that it's shown that children in care are overrepresented in the youth criminal justice system. So I often represent youth that are in both systems, so in care and in the WiCCD. What do we call it? Mess. And so
Right.
I have both my hats on and will help them in both proceedings.
Okay, so this is a very interesting niche, actually. It goes well together, those two areas. I was wondering if you could maybe explain to us how you got into that. Did you start off as being a criminal lawyer and then you started developing the other side or aspect of representing youths, or was it the other way around, or was it a completely different story?
So I've been a lawyer for over 20 years, and so for the first 7 or 8 years, I represented adults, and I had a pretty heavy legal aid practice.
Mhm.
And I was an associate at Pekofsky Lockyer, as it then was. It changed to Pekofsky's while I was there, which is a pretty. It was the largest criminal law firm in Canada at the time. So I had a very huge criminal practice, and then I went out on my own, and I was doing straight adult work. And then I worked on a very lengthy homicide for a person, a man who was had recently turned 18, but was an adult. And I really liked him, and I liked him a lot. And he was very smart and funny and kind. And it was constantly in the back of my mind that in any other universe, if he had grown up in a different neighborhood, he would, have a be working towards having a partner and a mortgage and a middle manager type. And then he was found guilty of first-degree murder and got a life sentence. And it was very gutting because it was just, off he went. And it that really affected me. And so that was basically when I said, I'm not doing this anymore. I want to, um, do something that helps. um,
Yeah.
and so the rehabilitation and reintegration aspects of the WiCCD really appealed to me. So then I just started representing youth. And even now, like once they turn 18, I refer them out. So I only represent young people. It was because of that case.
But it was a conscious decision. It's not like
Yeah.
the just the nature of the files that you were getting kind of got you into this area or this specific niche. It was really you decided that one day that you're going to stop doing the other adult types of cases and you
Yeah.
wanted to exclusively focus. Okay.
Yeah.
And at that time, how far, like, how many years of practice did you
So,
have at that point?
so I'd say it was about 7 or 8. And so
Okay.
I've been, what year is it? So I've been out for 20 years. So I've been doing this for, I asked, what year is it? And I really did have to think about it. So I've been doing this for about 13 years, and I started doing the OCL, like representing youth in care, children and youth in care. How long ago was that? That would have been maybe 5, 6 years ago. And I'm
Mhm.
still finding my legs with that. I wouldn't say I'm perfect on that by any stretch. I'm still finding my legs in that because it's a totally different world. And so I'm still trying to figure that out.
But it was relatively early, though, in your career that you made that decision. Like,
Yeah,
it's still
it
kind of a recent call, I would say, like 7
yeah,
years?
like 7 years in. It's funny because it feels like a lifetime ago that I made. It's time goes very quickly, but
Yeah.
yeah. So, and it was like I had for the first 7 years, I had like little, like some youth cases here and there, and I did enjoy those the most. When I first started practicing, it was actually the Young Offenders Act that I was practicing under.
Right,
So I was there for when the YCJA came in.
right.
So yeah, and yeah, so it was a very conscious decision that this is what I like. I don't like this. So
And one of the
even
reasons that
yeah, I'm not a big fan of Superior Court. Like I like the Ontario Court of Justice. I say this all the time. I don't like going to Superior Court of Justice, even on youth matters. I don't like going there because I just find it so separate. Like I really like, being in the trenches, and I really like the volume, although today I don't like the volume, but generally I like the volume and the just the pace of the OCJ. I liked,
it's
that you'd
faster.
have,
Yeah.
yeah, 5 cases up a day. I really like that. So,
Okay.
yeah, I love the
But
OCJ.
okay. And where's your practice based, Emma?
So
In
right
which
now
region?
it feels like it's in my basement. But I just I'm in Toronto. I don't leave Toronto. That's another. I have all these little rules. I don't leave Toronto. And so I practice with a family law team, Tammy Law, who's wonderful. And just so that I can kind of hopefully learn more family law from them. But yeah, like everybody else, I'm working virtually from my basement, but my cases are all based in Toronto. Like I have
In
youth that
Toronto.
are in care that are scattered around the province, and I'll drive out to see them, but the court is in Toronto.
And one of the things that you mentioned was that you felt that you really wanted to help rehabilitate people, and that was kind of one of the reasons why you made that conscious decision that you didn't want to represent adults anymore. You wanted to focus exclusively on youth. And do you find that uh, um, what you're doing right now gives you that satisfaction? Do you feel that you are actually helping and that you're making a change in people's lives? Is it giving you that satisfaction?
Uh, that's a hard question to ask because a lot of the times I feel like I'm putting my finger in a leaky dam, and I'm feeling that a lot, even more lately. And I think a lot of criminal lawyers are feeling that more lately, just because the mental health crises that are happening by not just our clients, like everybody involved in the system, I think is immense
Mhm.
right now. And so it really is, um, you know, trying to keep up with that. So am I helping? I'm not helping change lives. I don't have that. I am helping people through the process. I would say that. But in terms of changing people's lives, like, their criminal case may go away, but they're still dealing with the circumstances that brought them there. Maybe they have some community resources they're connected to that can help them, because I'm not, a counselor or a social worker.
Right.
But do I see myself as helping through the process, and I don't see the life sentences happen at the end of the day because I'm dealing with youth. And I think that's a really hard thing for um, criminal lawyers, because when we're working with clients, we do get attached to them and we do develop relationships with them, and seeing some of them, going away for, double digit sentences can be really painful.
Mhm.
So yeah, I don't think I answered your question, but am I helping? No, I'm helping in the circumstance. Like I'm helping them get through the process. I'm pretty kind of, the more I do this, the more I'm I'm honest about what I'm doing. I'm helping in dealing with the circumstance.
And you don't regret your decision of focusing exclusively on young offenders?
Well, we don't call them young offenders anymore. We call them
Youth, yeah,
young persons.
yeah, yeah.
And so no, it's definitely well, I'm better. It's a better fit for me. Working with young people versus
Youth,
dealing with
yeah.
adults. Mm-hmm.
Right. And did you encounter in the process of running your practice, did you encounter any difficulties due to the fact that you are a female lawyer?
Well, when I started, definitely, because when I first started, there really weren't a lot of women in the profession. It was very male dominated, and it's kind of I'm really amazed by the amount of women that are in the profession now. So when I started, it was more male dominated. Where I found where I found the trouble was once I did make the switch, there was that idea of, oh, Emma is working with kids, you know, and it wasn't seen as real law, that I wasn't doing real law. And that, in the same way that, women who are in childcare or, women, like I was just seen as, I think, maybe no, I actually had some comments, but just a woman in the childcare industry, essentially. So that was frustrating to because it's a totally different type of law, that it was kind of seen that I wasn't doing real law because I wasn't doing, the homicides.
Exclusively, right.
Yeah. And, I have had people say to me things like, oh, I couldn't do that because of the social work aspect. Like it's already not the, that it's seen as the client management is different, but I'm not doing social work. I'm not a social worker. I'm a lawyer.
Right.
But it's that, oh, I couldn't do the social work that you have to do. It's like, well, I'm not doing social work. I refer to social workers, but I'm a lawyer. So you just kind of hear that kind of judgment of, oh, a woman working with kids,
But how do you view yourself? Do you consider yourself a criminal lawyer, or how
I
would
see
you?
myself as a child and youth advocate. That's how I see myself. So that's how I would describe myself, as a child and youth advocate.
And when you get youth clients, I mean, you still take all types of criminal cases. Like it could be robbery, could be murder, it could be theft
Yes.
under. So
and more, as every other criminal lawyer would know, it's these days it's firearms and sex assaults, and sometimes firearms with sex assault, so those I'm seeing it the same, I think, as other criminal lawyers, where the majority of our caseloads now are firearms and sex assaults.
And it's surprising, though, that it's also appearing for clients at a very young age. I mean, sometimes just as young as 14.
Yeah. And sex assaults, I'm getting 12-year-olds now charged with sex assaults. And then with firearms, it's 12, 13, 4. It's because back in my day, when I first started, if you got a firearm case, that was considered a big deal. Like it was like, oh my God, you have and now it's every other case is a firearm case. But way back in the early 2000s, getting a firearm case was considered a pretty big deal.
And why is that? Why do you think this is happening?
Well, I think they're just, I think we're sharing a border with a country that loves their guns, and so we're getting them. And I think, as the gun laws, continue to evaporate in the States, Canada, just by proximity, we're feeling it. So they're coming over.
And you did mention briefly, though, the impact of this profession or this job on our mental health.
Yes.
So maybe I think we're all feeling this since COVID. I think, I mean, any lawyer, I don't think it's just criminal law. I mean, maybe criminal law is tougher just because of the nature of the files that we have and the facts that we have to deal with. But I think being a lawyer in general is a pretty tough and stressful job.
And I think legal aid too, right? Like criminal lawyers, I think, are really feeling it because of legal aid. because the budgets have been cut, we are expected, disclosure is immense. There are, you
Right.
know, and again, back when I started, we didn't have these reams of video, and now it's like hours and hours and hours of video that we're getting. So, and you know, the legal aid rates haven't increased in a gazillion years, and so we are expected to do way more with way less. And I think criminal lawyers are really, well, I know criminal lawyers are really feeling it, and I know, you know, that the videos that I get on a typical case, like even watching the videos would be, you know, the time that I'd have to put into watching the videos is 2 times the amount of prep that I've been given, right, by legal aid. So we're just expected to do so much now with so little, and less than what we had when I started 20 years ago. So I think criminal lawyers in particular are really suffering. So
Right.
we all need paid vacations. That's what we
Yeah.
need.
I don't know if legal aid will pay for our
Yeah,
vacations, but
we deserve
at
them.
least if we can get, you know, at least better hours, that more hours that are paid, or a better pay, that would help for sure.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to ask you, Emma, just to finish this interview. So for someone who's watching and who's interested in starting a niche practice similar to yours, what advice would you give them?
Well, I can say what worked for me, and no one likes to hear it, because I do get asked how do I get into it. And for me, it was doing a very high volume adult criminal practice for years and years. And I say that because when you get a youth case, you can recognize the issues right away. So you and you know, like just having a broad adult practice, you kind of get exposed to the different legal issues like Garifoldi's and, you know, Step 6 and well, I won't even say the sex assault pretrial motions, because I think all of us right now are still, none of us know what that entails anymore. We're still trying to, we're all trying to figure that out. But just for me, it was doing a high volume adult criminal practice so that when I started representing youth, I knew how to handle all the legal issues.
Right. Well, that was really very interesting, Emma. Thank you for taking the time and for discussing with us your, you know, how you got into your practice. What is it that you specialize in? And it's very interesting niche, and you actually were able to merge two areas together that match and work very well together. So that's
Yeah,
really
I don't think
interesting.
we're allowed to say specialized though. The LSO doesn't let us say specialized. We have to say focused, because
Focus. Okay.
specializing means that we've paid them money, which I haven't paid any. I
Right.
don't pay any extra money to them. So yes, I
Yeah.
focus on youth stuff.
Right. And meaning that you're not a certified specialist. You're
Yes,
just
so
focused on the
focused on
area
youth. All
on
these
you.
rules. See, this is
Yes.
the thing that, you know, again, being a sole practitioner, we're, you know, all these things that that we have to deal with, that other lawyers don't have to deal with. Like the fact, you know, don't say specialize on your, or specialize on your website because you can get in trouble. Like there's, yeah, it's hard. So everybody, we need to start talking about like how hard it is, because it's very hard. But anyways, on that happy note, thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Emma.